Okay, welcome to this course, guys. So we'll be conducting the lecture series about software configuration management within this course section. So I'll be doing what we call software configuration management in terms of developing applications and how we're going to manage those things in real life. So uh, I'll be conducting this for upcoming days. And to get things started, I would like to know you guys a little bit better. So uh, to get on a background note, to get an idea what you are coming from, I have some questions on you guys. So just answer with raising your hand options via Zoom. Okay. So who here have developed, I'm not talking about a professional software, maybe not, something like I have done a small program within my university life. I have done a small program. I have done a software program. I have written something using Java, HTML, whatever. Raise your hand if you have done such a thing. Okay. So we have one. What about others? Anyone who have? Ibrahim, right? Ibrahim, what you have done so far? What's kind of software that you have developed?
I have developed a website, sir.
Okay, that's nice. That's good. Uh, Rashin, right?
Yes, sir.
Rashin, what sort of software that you have developed?
We have developed a mobile application to detect mood and counseling like
Okay,
that.
that's nice. Okay. We in the sense it was a group project?
Teamwork.
Okay, nice. Okay. What about others? So if Roshan is working with V, then there should be others, right? Roshan, right? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So anyhow, when we are developing software, it's like one thing that you can, okay, I'll start coding. Okay, that's why like newbies, like people who aren't into development, that's what we normally do. We normally work, get an idea, and we select the tech stack. Let's say I want to develop a mobile application. Okay, I'll select one of the applications or one of the available tech stack. Let's say, for example, I'll be using an Android to develop one of my applications. So whatever, uh, whatever you find useful, you can develop the application, right? So you get the Android Studio and all those things downloaded, and boom, you can develop and develop a simple application. So one thing that when it is coming to software development is first thing that we do initially, we might think that okay, this won't be a big issue, but most of the time when we are starting development, when we are doing software as a team constantly, the first thing that we will need to do is sharing the source code. Okay, we need to share the source code with the other people who are involving in the application development. So they need to be aware of how we will be developing software application, and what are the processes that we're going to be doing, how we're going to be what we call is are we going to contribute to the code. So if you are doing a software group as a group project, okay, it's not going to be like everybody is going to be coding on one single machine. No, they will be allocated, or they will be in different machines, and their code contribution should go into one single software application. So we need to make sure that everybody is contributing, and when we are contributing the code, we need to make sure that two or more people's code does not get conflicted. Okay, I have written something and the other person is coming and changing that. If something is changed, my code is going to be lost. So that's going to be there's going to be a lot of chaos around that. Okay, so we need to find a way. The first thing that we need to find a way to make the applications, the software source code that we're going to be building is maintained well. Okay, we need to make sure the software that we are developing, as a team, we are developing, we are contributing everyone, and there is no hustle. Okay, we will be not making a mess out of these things. Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to make sure that we are doing. So a lot of tools have been developed around to overcome this issue. Okay, to overcome source code management. Okay, what we call is managing the software itself. There are a lot of tools available in there. So we need to make sure we know what are the tools out there that will be helpful for us and what are the tools that are like a little bit out of date. Okay, we need to think about okay, when we are managing the source code, how we gonna how we gonna do these things in a proper way. Okay, so everybody knows. So luckily there are like few tools out there, but most common one that nowadays in software industry use is what we call Git. Anybody have heard about Git? I know Git, Git, Git. I have heard
Yes, sir.
about Git. Yes. So Ibrahim, can you explain what do you understand by Git?
So it's for collaborating with others
Mhm.
with the documents. For
Yes, it's mainly focusing on collaboration on source code and everything. Yes, that is true. What about others? Others have used Git around here. I have used Git. Okay. All right. So we'll be needing we'll be learning Git throughout few of these lecture series. So if you guys find yourself, okay, I am new to Git, I'll be starting from like very basic step. But if you guys have a little bit of idea on Git, I'll be like going to intermediate mode. So I need your honest opinion. So if you are new to Git, raise your hand. I'm completely new to Git. So you need to raise your hand. Otherwise, I will be starting from a little bit advanced. Okay, one. If there is like not enough people, then I will skip ahead. Okay, yeah, all right. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Seems like there are a lot. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. So since there are like a lot of guys in here is new to Git and everything, I'll be going through from the very basic beginning level, and we'll start from there. Okay. So another question that I normally ask is like, who here is using Linux or Mac OS as your primary operating system, or at least you are learning, you are using it on a daily basis? I'm using Linux or Ubuntu or something like that. Raise your hand if you are using such operating system. So I have 3. Is it correct, or you guys are just giving me the answer for the last one? So Kanujan, right? Okay. So who here use Windows? I'm using Windows as my primary operating system. There you go. Okay, I think a lot of you guys are here. Okay, that's good. So anyhow, while we are doing the lecture series, I don't have a Windows PC with me, and probably the things that we learned, it is not like really 100% what we call when it is coming to these kind of application configuration management. Yes, there are ways that we can interact with Git and upcoming things that we're going to be discussing. There are ways that we can run and make it work on Windows. But my recommendation would be to use a Linux operating system. Okay, just in case, so you guys have the best experience on these things. But don't worry if you do not have a Linux operating system on your machine. There are like a couple of alternative ways that you can do within your Windows machine. So one way would be to have my personal recommendation is like to have a dual boot operating system. Okay, while I was in your age or while I was in university, that's most of the time that's what we did, is like having a dual boot system. So by dual booting, it basically means you have a separate hard disk partition where you install Linux operating system. Then you can execute, or you can use that in a completely different operating system. So when you are starting your computer, it will ask, okay, you want to go Windows or you want to go Linux. So you have a choose while you are booting your machine. Okay, that's like the perfect scenario that you can do. But if you do not have such thing, then the other one is what we call is there's a program called what is called WSL. Okay, that is called Windows subsystem for Linux. Okay, so basically what it does is it's gonna install a Linux operating system within your Windows machine. It's not like a virtual machine, but you have some of the features that you will be missing in Windows. So you will be incorporating these things in your you can execute commands while like what you are in Windows within your Linux. Okay, so it's the subsystem, it's a subsystem, so it's gonna basically gonna live aside on your Windows operating system. So you can turn on Windows and you can run WSL. So while running WSL, you can execute Linux commands and everything. Okay, so I'll be pasting how you can install WSL within the group that we have created. Okay, try to install WSL. If WSL is not an option, sometimes, you guys will come across a little bit of trouble here and there. That's normal. If there is no way that you can go along, I would recommend you guys to have what we call a virtualization software, a VMware or VirtualBox or something, so you can run a virtual operating system. Okay, that is like the other way that you can do. So within your operating system, you run Linux operating system. You don't have to have the GUI version or GUI version, if I say. So you don't need those things. But if you have good memory, if you could have good hard disk space, I would go for virtualization as a third option. Or even that fails, even that is not an option, we will be using Git command line. okay, Git for Windows. So while you're using Git for Windows, it will give what we call a bash. Okay, so I have put the link in the chat group, so you guys can simply go to Git for Windows and download it there. And what you will be able to do is you will be getting what we call a command line or a terminal that you can interact with. Okay, this is like most common thing. Okay, so my recommendation is to have a dual boot system. So you can separately work on the machine. Okay, so it won't share any of your hardware resources like RAM or hard disk or CPU power, because it's going to be a completely booted up system. Okay, but be careful when you're doing your dual boot. You might, if you don't know what you are doing, you might end up losing everything. So don't take my word. If you do not know how to do it correctly, then please don't do it. It will lose your data and everything. Okay, but dual booting is the best option. If it is not, go for Windows for Subsystem, WSL, or you guys can have a virtual machine installed, virtualization software, or even that fails, Git for Windows. That would also do the trick. You will get a terminal that you can interact with. Most of the time, you guys should be will be using what we call the sub what is that name? A command line, sorry, CMD within your Windows machine. You guys will be working with the CMD all the time, but if this command line is not going to be an option in this scenario, so at least have Git installed, so you will be able to work on it. So if you are starting today, if you want to really follow along with what we are doing, the easiest option would be to install Git for Windows. The last one that I have shared with you guys, Git for Windows. Yes, go ahead.
So what about macOS, sir?
Yeah, macOS is
If
Mac
we
OS
have
no
Mac.
fine. If you have macOS, welcome to the club. I'm using also Macs, so you don't have to worry about anything. The same thing that you will be using, like what you are using in Linux and everything, it will be the same. Okay, don't worry about Macs. Macs are good. Okay, I'll be demonstrating everything actually using a Mac, so you don't have to worry about that. But since I'm guessing most of you guys are in Windows, that's why I told you the most obvious one. Yes. Any other questions? Let me check. Okay, Mac question. Answered it already. Any other questions? Yes, please, let's clarify and go. Okay, so if you guys can install Git for Windows, now would be okay. All right, and you will be able to have a terminal or something like that installed no time. Okay, so the commands that we'll be demonstrating today, where we'll be showcasing most of these things, will be showcased in Mac operating system. That's the primary operating system that I use nowadays. Earlier days I was using Linux. Nowadays I use a Mac, but the commands and everything is like quite the same. So you don't have to worry about getting into a Mac and doing these things. Okay, so my expectation is you guys installed Git for Windows as you guys can proceed. Okay, if you are doing right now, if you can get it done right now, it would be awesome. But if you want to follow it later on, you can do the same thing. No worries. Okay. If you have any questions while you are installing Git for Windows, just let me know. Okay. But as I said, my recommendation would be to have a separate operating system or something like that, so you guys can practice these things in real life. Okay. All right, let me start by sharing my screen. I'm gonna share my terminal. Okay, so hope you guys can see my terminal. So when you start working on Git for Windows, okay, there you will have two options, Git CLI and Git GUI. So when you work with Git CLI Windows, let me check. I will be trying to get some videos around here. Yeah, so I'll share a screenshot that how it's gonna look like when you're using Git for Git within Windows. Okay, so this is gonna be the CLI that you guys will be seeing most of the time. Okay, this is like I'm running on a Windows. If I'm running this on a Windows system, so the command that we'll be executing, those gonna be same whether it is gonna be Mac, Linux, or Windows. But sometimes the GUI, the UI, and the text and those things will be a little bit different based on your operating system. But anyhow, as long as you install a terminal sort of software, then you are good. So right now I am using Macintosh built-in terminal. Okay, so if you are using Windows, just use the Git CLI, or if you have WSL, you can use terminal as well. Okay, there is a software especially for Windows called Terminal. You can try that out as well. You will get something similar like this, a terminal like this. Or another thing that for Linux, by default, you have the bash, the terminal installed for you, so you don't have to worry about this one as well. So Mac and Linux, you have this terminal software that right now what I'm showing you guys. For Windows, you guys need to get the Git CLI version, or when you install Git, you will get the CLI version. So no worries on there. Okay, so first thing first, this is gonna be like somewhere you'll be trying out basic commands. Okay, before we go into basic of Git commands. Okay, we will be trying out Git commands to warm you up, you guys, before we going into Git and how it does and everything. I would like to create do some things within the terminal that we have in here, and to warm up with you guys with the command line and get used to this interface. Okay, so who here have worked with a terminal before? I have worked with the terminal, something like this terminal, CMD or whatever. I have worked with this. Raise your hand, please. I have worked. Okay, only one. All right. Anyhow, so rest of you guys, if you guys feel little bit different or change, okay, this is gonna be like how we're gonna do the rest of the lecture most of the time, not all the ways. Okay, this is how we're gonna be looking into the software configuration, Git, and everything that we do. So make sure you get used to this nice UI. Okay, at least where you can type these things there. Okay, right now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna let me check. I have a separate project directory. Project. Okay, I don't have it. So I don't mess up with my regular work. Yes. Delete this for a second. Project. Give me a second, guys. I'll be back in no time. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you guys some basic commands so you guys will warm up for these things, and we won't be like diving to Git world at the beginning of the lecture. So I'll be demonstrating few of the things that we need day-to-day use commands, and we will get used to that. And while those things are like get familiar with for you guys and get you guys are comfortable, we'll dive into things with Git. Okay, so if you have used command line, this will be some sort of similarity. But if you are completely new, don't worry, we'll be learning these things. We'll be learning these things from scratch. Okay, so I have turned on my terminal. Okay, so now what I can do? So this is like the dial down version of what we are doing within our machine. Okay, we use all the time, we use the GUI, we use our mouse and our keyboard to input these things. Say for example, if I want to open a file, I will be going to my file browser and just I'll double tap and open it. Okay, so if I want to create a directory or a folder, I'll right click and create new folder, and the folder will be created for me. But under the hood, when we are executing those commands, we will be executing a similar terminal command or instruction, something similar to that. Okay, so GUI is one way of giving instruction to your machine. Okay, do that, do this using your mouse and everything. The terminal is also another way of giving instruction to your machine. Okay, so ultimately these instructions will be executed by the operating system, then we get the results back. Okay, for example, if I want to show something within this terminal. So this terminal is like right now it is showing a cursor. I'm not sure whether you guys can see here. I can type in here. Okay, so it is ready for accepting commands that I want to give. So the basic thing, of course, when we want to do some sort of application, or we want to like play around, first thing most of the time we do is print the hello world or something like that. Okay, so we'll be using to print out. If I want to print out anything within this terminal, I have a command called echo. Okay, the command is called echo, and if I put within double quotation hello hello world. Okay, and if I put it now, at the end of this command, if I press enter, and what I'll get is this hello world printed out. Okay, so basically this echo command is the command that we'll be executing, and it is expecting few parameters. Okay, what we call these things as parameters, the command parameters, or we call command arguments. So basically what echo does is echo take a single parameter, okay, single argument, and it display back in the terminal itself. Okay, so the command itself is called echo, and the argument it takes is a string, and what the output of this command is going to be showing just hello world. Okay, whatever we put it in here, it will be showing out. Okay, so anyone have any questions on that? Okay, you should have an idea on echo. Okay, this is the command, this is the argument, and based on this command, okay, how the program has written, it's going to just simply put out whatever we have put as the argument. Okay, so for example, hello world, I am Randika, and you guys can see hello world, I am Randika. It's just echoing out what I was saying. Anyone have any questions with regarding this command? Okay, raise your hand if you have any questions how this command works. So you should be okay. Everybody got the idea? Raise your hand. Okay, I got the basic behind the echo command. Raise your hand, please. Perfect. Yes, that's good. All right. So you guys know what the command is, what are the arguments for it. So there are a bunch of different commands that we can give. Okay, there are like a lot of commands out there. We'll be using those things throughout. So Git is one of those commands, but I'm not going to dive into Git, probably not today, but we'll see how it goes. So we have a lot of commands that we can execute to do day-to-day tasks, to do most of the things. So one thing, one command that I would like execute few, so you guys know what to do with those things, and we'll see how we can make those commands into interactive mode. Okay, first thing that I will show. So first command that we have done is echo. So you know one command right now. Congratulations, you know echo command. And what else? So for example, I am in this terminal, okay, the terminal. This is my username. This is the username that I use to log into the system. And this is my machine name, okay, this is my machine name. We'll get to know these names and everything a little bit later. So right now, Randika is at Randika's MacBook Pro. So this is the machine, the host, and this is the user that is currently logged in to this terminal. Okay, to this terminal, this is the person that I'm using. So do not worry about this base and TMP. We will get to know these things in a little bit later. So right now, this is like the user and where the user is. We'll need this kind of information later on, but where exactly I am executing these commands, where exactly within my machine I am executing commands. So I should know the current location where this terminal is opened. Okay, a terminal is opened against some place. Okay, so if I want to know my current place, where the directory where I am working right now, I have a command called pwd. Okay, so if I hit pwd, you guys can see I am in users Randika's document project temp. Okay, so this is the directory that I am currently in. So if you are coming from Windows, you might find a little bit odd. It is not like C/documents, and not kind of like this. So we are in Linux and Macs here. So we use a different directory structure. So you guys get to use this. But anyhow, it's not, it's think like a directory where you are currently in. Okay, so the TMP that you see right at the end of my terminal line in here, okay, that is the directory name. For short convenience, it is showing the last directory name that I am in. Okay, there are some modifications that you can do and you can show the whole thing, but I'm good by default. It is showing the name that I am currently in. So my current directory is this, and I am using the temp directory. So it is showing me, okay, you are in temp directory. So by executing pwd, I can know where I am. Okay, and what else? So another command that we most of the time use is called ls. Okay, so ls is standing for list, at least that's how I know it. So ls is gonna list anything within the directory. Okay, right now I don't have anything within my directory, so it's gonna print out nothing. Okay, basically I'm in an empty directory. So another thing that I can do is I can create a directory, okay, within this path, within this directory path. I can create a directory, or what you call commonly known as a folder. I can create a directory. So to create a directory, I have a command, okay? It's called mkdir, okay? Make directory, for short, we have mkdir, okay? So it's basically saying make a directory, and the second argument that it takes is the name of the directory, okay? I will name it as I'll name it as just big project. Okay, so it's executed as after the first instruction. I hit enter, so it's gonna just it's not gonna show an error or something like that. It's just executed. But if I ls right now, you guys can see the big project is showing in here. That means I have successfully created a directory. Okay, this is using mkdir, and I have used the command to create one. I can create another directory, make dir super cool project. Okay, and if I hit ls here, now you guys can see there are two directories that I have created. The same way I can create files. Okay, I can even create file. To create files, I use the command called touch. Okay, the touch command will create a file. So I'm going to create a readme.md file. So I need to specify the document extension as well. So if I ls now, you guys can see that there are files and there are directories. But by looking at it simply, I don't know whether this is a file. But I can think this is a file because it's having an extension. But if I say using a touch, I will, if I create a file name this file, and if I hit enter and if I ls, now you guys can see this file, super cool project, big project, readme md. So all of them are listed out here, but there is no way to differentiate whether this is a file, or this is a directory. Since you guys saw I create big project and super cool project using mkdir, make directory command, so you know this is okay, these are two directories, but I use touch command to create this file. So if someone comes in later on, they don't have idea whether this is a file or a directory. We don't know how we can differentiate, right? But don't worry, we have another cool trick in our in here. So we can say ls minus a. Okay, so sorry, minus a l. So the extension that I do, the argument that I give here is minus l. Okay, so by giving minus l, you guys can see that it is showing more extra information, and in here at the beginning of these files, okay, beginning of these rows, you can see this is readme, this is big project, and this is super cool project, and this file. So these two are actually the directories that I have created. Within here, you can see it is starting with D. Okay, so the first letter that you see in here within this section, the D identify, okay, this is a directory. This is not going to be a file, but this is a directory. And there are a bunch of other things in here. What we call these things as permissions. Okay, so these are like Linux permissions, or within Windows, even in Mac, these are like permissions. Okay, so one thing that you guys need to do is look into the directory permission structure. Okay, that is a task that I'm assigning for you guys for today. That is the task that I'm assigning today. You guys need to know about what is this rwxy dash xr, these, what those things are meaning basically. Okay, so it's your first task to get this riddle solved out. So this thing figured out. Okay, I'll send that within the group so you guys can remember what I mentioned in here. Okay, and there are a bunch of other things it's gonna show us. Okay, ls minus l. So each row represent a single file or a directory that I am having here. And basically you can see there are like my name in here, and there is 1, 2, okay, and there are like stuff is probably this is the size, it is 0, and you guys can see this is like the date, most probably the date created, and this is the file name itself. So we have like a little bit more information. If I simply put ls, then what will happen is it's gonna basically give us an idea, but ls minus l would give us more detail about these files that is in files and directories. And right now my terminal is almost full, okay, and I am at the bottom, and I have another command that I can, you know, clear these things out. And the command is, it is called clear. Okay, if I hit clear, what it will do is it's going to clear up the history that I have been working on. Okay, so I don't have like the history of it. Whatever I executed, the results that I show is gone, but I have the command history, the commands that I have executed. I have it, but the outputs are no longer there. Okay, so if I want what is the last query that or the command that I executed while I'm in here, I will hit up arrow. Right now I'm hitting up arrow. So you guys can see the last command I executed was clear. And if I hit up arrow once again, you can see this is the one that I have executed earlier on. And you can go all the way up, and you will see all the commands that I have executed so far. So that is one neat trick. So we have learned few, what do you call, command line we have seen some commands that I can execute. Okay, so we almost like learned 5, and there are a lot of commands that we can check out, and we can get things done. Right now, I'm not going to go through all those things. Okay, and for now, the basics are here, basic ones that will be most of the time we'll be using. Those things are here, so you don't have to worry about all those things. Okay, even for me, I don't know all the commands that is out there. Okay, but if I know the command, there is one command that will give us a manual to how to use it. Okay, probably if I say ls minus h, okay, this is like a command for most of the command line commands that we execute. So minus h, help, is it double? Okay, so if I want help, most of the time this ls minus h help shows the things, but if you are not able to get information, you can use a command called man. Okay, man is for short for manual, and man followed by ls. What is going to do is it's going to show the manual for command ls. Okay, the command is man, and the second argument should be the command that I want the manual of. Okay, I need to know what are the things that I can look in. So if you look into this, the general command manual, this is like what we gonna be looking at using the man command. And you guys can see the name of this command is ls and list directory contents. So that's what it does. And the description, you can get the description on what this command is associated with and what sort of things, and all the things that you need to know about ls is going to be here. Okay, so all the what we call the options or the arguments that we can provide, like minus. We use minus L. Yes, we have used minus L. The lowercase L list files on the long format as described the long format subsection. So these options, minus L option, what it does is given in this method. Okay, there are a lot of other options that we can pass. Okay, we can learn about these things, and everything that's related to the ls command is printed out in here. Okay, so if I want to quit the manual, you guys can see at the bottom I see a little bit of 2 dots, and on here if I type in letter Q, it will exit the manual. Okay, so man command will give us all the things that we need to know about another command. Say for example, I want to man about pwd. Okay, I need the manual of pwd. If I hit enter, you guys can see all the things that related to the pwd. So pwd is like a simple command. So pw is gonna return the working directory name, of course, and there are like other options that we can follow, and most of the things that we need to learn about pwd is here. Okay, same goes to any other commands. You can check out any manual if you are not sure. You can check out the man command and get the manual out of it. So sorry, the man command is one of the important command that you can learn about these things, learn about other commands at least. Okay, so we learn a little bit of commands that we can execute, that we can do, and what we need to what will the commands is known for, and how we can get manual, how we can get help, and all those things. So likewise, we have a lot of commands that we can execute and get result of. So one of those commands that we'll be practicing a little bit, practicing in depth, is gonna be a command called git. Okay, we'll be using it git. If I hit git and enter, so you will get a lot of information about these things. Okay, what are the commands that git is using. Okay, you will find a graphical user interface for this git command. There are like programs that have been developed to make these git commands easy. But as starters, as you guys are learning into revision management and software code management, I would stick with the command lines, the git commands and everything. So you get a better idea first, and once you are really good at it, then you can use the GUI tools. Okay, I'll be doing the same. First, I will be doing what we call the basic things that I'm going to do is I'm going to create all these things using git and everything. But later on, I will be showing you guys how we can do these things using command without command line, like like how we're gonna do these things using VS Code, or there are like tools like what do you call source tree, and there are like a lot. But once you get your basics in command line, it will be really helpful, because most of the time when we are working with software configurations and everything, the most common place that you will be looking or working with is going to be the terminal itself. So the terminal is going to be a good place that you guys will be working. Most of the time when you are working with configuration management, the terminal is what you will get, not a GUI most of the time. 90% of the time, It won't be a GUI, it will be a terminal. So that's why we need to know about these things in advance. Okay, so the git command is what we need to learn. Okay, so I have like few things in here. I would like to remove these things. So I'll make some room for my project, the git command initialization and everything. I'll just make some adjustments in here. So I need to remove these files. So I will be using another command called rm, and I will be using big project. So okay, so if I want to remove a directory like big project, it's gonna give me an error. Rm big project is a directory. That means remove is the command that I will be using to remove some file, but I can't remove this because this is a directory. Okay, so if I want to remove a directory, I need to pass two options: rm dash rm space minus rf. Okay, and if I give a big project, then it will be removed. If I want to if I want to remove multiple directories like a big project as well as super cool project, then I have to put a space and give the other directories name. Okay, so I have rm command to remove. Since these two are like what we call directories, I can't remove these things. So I need to use minus rf options to remove directories, and I can remove one. If I want more, I have to separate them by space. Okay, now if I hit ls, now I have only these two files, and since these are like files, I can just simply use rm command and the file name. And by the way, I have this functionality called autocomplete. I can just simply type the first one or two letters, and if I hit tab, so I'm gonna remove these two files. And since I need to remove the second file as well, and I need the name, I have pressed T, and while I'm doing this without typing all those things, without typing the whole name, I'm gonna press tab. Use the tab button that you have in your keyboard. When you hit tab, it will be automatically completed unless there is like 2 or 3 names that I need to select. It will be autofilling for me, so I don't have to type all the time. Using tab, I can autofill. And you guys can see if I put ls in here, there is nothing. Okay, that's awesome. So I have basically a clean directory, so I can work with. Okay, up to this section. So I hope you guys have learned few commands. If you have, please raise your hand. I have learned few commands today. Raise your hand. Okay. That's good. So remember, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not giving you guys any notes, any sort of things. So you guys have to come up with your own notes. And one thing that I normally ask with the students is prepare your own note and share with me. Okay, I'll instruct you guys at the end of the lecture, so how we is gonna proceed. Okay, for now, just remember, this is your lecture and this is your note. Okay, so we'll be mastering the command git. Okay, we have seen other commands, what they can do, but for software and software management, software configuration, all those things, we'll be mastering git. Okay, so we'll be not going through all of the git commands. No, we'll be having a little bit of information, little bit of things that we need by day to day. There are like a lot of git commands even that I haven't used. Probably it's because I did not get a chance. Sometimes all these commands are not wanted unless I want to do something about those things. Okay, unless I ran into a problem or sort of. But basic Git commands I'll be using, and I'll be showing you guys the power of Git. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is if I hit Git, now I have a lot of commands that I can do. Okay. And there are like a lot of things that I need to configure. Okay, but the first thing that I will be using is starting a working area. So if I'm using Git, I need to start somewhere, right? I need to start using Git. So I have two ways that I can do. Okay, either I can clone or I can init. So the Git, these two commands, they have two different purposes. Okay, they have two different purposes. The Git clone what it do is it will copy existing code into my current directory. Okay, I need to clone an existing a project into my current working directory, or I can init Git init. That would do is it will create a new Git Git repository that I can work with. Okay, so Git clone is the command that I will be cloning another repository, and Git init is the initialization point. That means I can create my own repository. So so you have heard the term repository. So what do you mean by repository? So repository basically means it's the code base that we'll be using. That's what we call in nutshell. We can call the repository the code base that we are accessing, the code base that we will be working on. That is what we call the repository. So if I am going to clone a repository using Git clone method, I need to know where this repository stands. Okay, I need to know from where I'll be cloning this project. I need a place to clone, right? If I am copying, I need to know the source. Okay, it's the Git cloning is like sort of copying. Okay, it's not the exact thing like what we do in copy paste, but in cloning, what we need to do is we will be taking a source code or a repository. In this case, it should be like software source code even. So I will name this as repository. So any repository out there, I can clone it and have it in my machine. Okay, so where you will find these repositories? Where do you have these repositories, and how can I clone a repository that is out there? Okay, so the simplest form of repositories, the Git repositories out there, are we can find in internet. Okay, if you go to open internet, you will find a lot of Git repositories where you can clone these things out. Okay, there are some repositories that you can't clone, okay, because we don't need everybody in internet to have your intellectual properties and all, but there are like open repositories where you can clone clone and work. Okay, you can have it shouldn't be like always software source code, but sometimes there are assets, sometimes there are projects, but anyhow we can clone it and have it within our local machine. Okay, so open internet, you will find a lot of these repositories. So what are the basically places that you can have these repositories? Anyone have any idea what are the repositories in the internet, or what are the websites that offer these kind of repositories, a service providing repositories? Any place anyone knows? Yes, any websites of particular where I can find Git repositories? Most of the open source repositories, like the open source softwares that is out there, you will find it in these websites. Anyone knows? Yes, any Any place that you guys have seen? Any software repositories? Anyone? No one? Ibrahim, you know any place where you can find repositories? Asanka?
In VS Code, we can find
VS Code, we can actually work with the clone repositories, but we need to find the repository first.
GitHub. So
Yes, exactly. We can find most of the time GitHub is one of the most popular repositories that's out there where you can find most of the open source software out there. Okay, GitHub is one place. So I'll put some image on it. Okay, so I'll put the GitHub link as well. Yes, github.com. Okay, so this is a place where you can find a lot of source codes. Okay, so I have a GitHub account where I can go and get repositories, but GitHub is a repository for storing these repositories. Okay, they are like open source ones. For example, most of the popular open source softwares, like if you know Android operating system or Android source code is hosted in GitHub. Okay, WordPress. Okay, whatever the open source software that you will find within GitHub. Okay, that is like the most common place. But other than that, you will find other repositories as well. Like there is Bitbucket, and there is GitLens, and all those sort of programs are out there where you can find most popular Git repositories. Okay, so you will be able to find lots and lot of open source software within GitHub. Okay, and let me show you guys what I mean. Android. Let me check whether I have the Android. I'll have to share my screen once again. Share my screen. We have the terminal and so this is GitHub. I'm not sure that it is like too much. So I just searched within GitHub Android. Okay, so there are like 1.6 million repositories, okay, dedicated to Android. There are a lot of things that is out there. So I'm aiming to find the Android the Android version or Android source code for my demonstration. But as you guys can see, there are a lot and lot of projects out there which is based on Android. Okay, so you'll find a lot of these kind of software. So if you are wondering how much are there, it's gonna be millions. Okay, in millions of repositories are there gonna be there for you to work with. Okay, so this is like the base Android. I don't need this one. But within GitHub, you will find a lot of codes or Android based ones. So there can be any other things like say for example Angular. Okay, so it's one of the frameworks, web frameworks. So Angular framework source code is gonna be in here. Okay, you guys can see this is the source code that's for Angular itself. Another popular one is gonna be like React. Okay, React. I'll say React. Okay, React is another popular framework from Facebook. Okay, so this is the source code for React. Okay, if I want, I can have this source code within my machine. Okay, this is where we will get the source code of React. Okay, so a lot of source codes will be there, and the good thing is if you have a GitHub account, you can create your own repository. Okay, so I am logged in my personal account. So within my personal account, I can have my repositories. So if I go to your repositories, so you need to have a repository of your own. Now you guys can see these are the repositories that I have put in GitHub. Okay, these are the source code that I have put in here. So this is the last year's GitHub repository that I have used. Okay, so if I go to this SC 40103203, so this is the Git repository for the last year's lectures. Okay, so I can have this within my local machine, or I can create a new repository and push it in here. It's up to me how to do it. Okay, so I'll show you guys how I can at least clone this. Okay, how I'm gonna clone this. It's gonna be simple. So as I found the repository that I want to clone, this is the repository. Okay, this is like earlier years one. So I'm gonna clone this using Git. So how I'm gonna do that? I need the repository URL. Okay, I need the information in order to clone. I need the repository to clone. Okay, so within GitHub, you will find this code option over here, and you can see the clone commands. So there are like few ways that you can clone. You can use the HTTPS version, SSH version, or GitHub CLI version. In this scenario, I'm gonna clone using SSH. Okay, we'll look into SSH and those things in a little bit later. Right now, I need the repository. So this is the repository that I am interested in cloning. Okay, this is the repository that I am interested in cloning. So basically, I need this URL or this location to copy, to clone. So I'll copy this one. I can use the copy to clipboard button that I can see in here, and I will go to my terminal. Okay, so let me go here, and in order to clone the existing, so you guys can see there are like few files in here. In order to clone this, what I need to do is use the command git clone and space. I need to give the repository that I want to clone. Okay, the command is git. Okay, the to git command, I have this clone what do you call this? Yeah, it's like the git clone command. This is the git clone command, and what I want to clone, or the URL that I want to clone, is this one. So git clone command take an argument. This is the argument, the repository that I want to clone. Okay, if I hit enter, and since I have permission for this, if I don't have, I won't be able to clone. Since I have permission, since this is a public one, that means anyone with this URL can clone it. If you like, you can clone it, or you can clone it any other way, any other repository as well. Be careful, the Git repository that you're cloning. Sorry, sometimes they are huge in size. Luckily, this one is like a very simple one, approximately like 1.7 megabits. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have cloned into, and it's giving 100% and everything. Now I was able to successfully clone this repository. So if I hit ls, now I have the clone repository with me. Okay. And if I cd another command, change directory, and if I say sc 03 2004, and if I ls again, then you will see there are like few files that will be working later on. Okay, so simply what I did was I clone the repository using the git clone command. Okay, cloning in the sense I am just taking I'm just copying those things, copying my repository into my local machine. Okay. So git clone is one of the ways that you can get started. So you have existing code, then you can download it. Okay. And there is another way that we can do is that we will be creating our Git project, or we will be creating something. We'll be creating something from our end. That means we will be creating a Git project and we will be hosting it in a repository. So we will have that in repository. That means from the ground up, from zero level, our project will be created and we will be pushing it to another repository. Okay, let's see how that can be done in this section. Okay, so I have this project. It's for like last year. So I'll create another project for this year, SE4103 2024. Okay, so this is the project for last year, and this is for the this year, 2024. Okay, so right now I have nothing in here. I have no information in this directory. It's just a plain old directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize a project. I'm going to initialize a project and I will push it to GitHub. Okay, using git command. So everything using git command. So I'm going to clear this for now. So it's easy. So if one thing that I need to show you guys in here, if I put ls minus a, minus a would show me the hidden files. Okay, right now I do not have any hidden files. This is the current directory, and you can go to the directory before that. That means the parent directory. Other than that, I don't have anything in this directory. Okay, this is the empty directory that I have created for this course content. So I don't have anything in here. So let's start. So first thing, I need to initialize a Git. I need to initialize Git. So I'm going to use the command git init. Okay, this is the basic command. If you are trying to create your own Git repository, git init. And if I enter, you guys can see initialized empty Git repository and this location. Right now, you guys can see at the end of my within my directory, they have this .git in here. Okay, so if I ls in here, I won't be able to see that, but ls minus a would show me, okay, there is a hidden directory. By the way, in Linux and Macintosh, to hide a directory, what you have to do, you hide a directory or file. All you have to do is put a dot in front of it. That will hide that directory. So if I open this within my file browser, and the file browser is by default, it is not set to show hidden files, then it won't show this .git file. It will just hide it. So if you are wondering what the dot in here is representing, it's gonna be presenting as a hidden file. It's not going to be showing in your local machine, or when you're browsing it, it won't be showing. Okay, so after I did the git init, I get this directory called .git. I can cd into that. I can change directory and go in here and hit ls. So there are like few files that it have created, the conf, description, hooks, info. I can see whether these are like files or not. So you guys can see. So these are like directories, and these are like files. Okay, that's obviously you guys know that. So I want to see this, especially this config file. Okay, for right now, I want to see this config file. What is the content of it? So there is another command called cat, and I can provide config file, the file name. Okay, the cat command is expecting one single argument, that is the file name. And if I hit enter here, now you guys can see there, this is the content of that config file. Whatever in the config file, it is laid around here. So repository, so there is like pretty much at this point, this configuration file is empty, but when we push these things to servers and everything, push these things, or we upload these things to the GitHub, you will see plenty of other information. Right now, you guys can see using cat command, I see the config, but there is like very simple information around it. Okay, so I'm going to cd out. That means I'm going to cd out for the parent directory. All I have to do is cd double dot, then I'll be in my parent directory. Okay, so ls, there is nothing for naked eye. If I ls -a, you will find this git directory. So this is an empty directory. There's nothing, nothing in there. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to within a typical software program, when we are developing a typical software program, we will be creating source code files. We will be creating files that where we want to interact with the source code that we will be working with. Will be created and shared. Okay, so I will be creating a very simple, very basic web sort of application. Okay, it's not going to be like, you know, the next big award for UI, but we'll get there. We'll see on the next lecture how you guys can contribute, how you guys can learn these things as you go. Okay. So what we will do is we will create a simple file. To create a file, what is the command that we used? Yes, anyone? What is the command that we used to create a file? Yes, anybody? You can type in the chat. Let's see who gets it. I want to create a file called index.html. So how I'm going to create the file? What is the command? Yes. Type in the chat. Let's see who gets it. Come on. Yes. Touch command. Touch index.html. So Russian, right? Russian got it. Thank you, Russian. So touch.index.html. If I ls now, I see the index.html file in here. Okay, so I have created a file. Now I will show you guys another git command. Since I have git initialized in my repository, in my directory, at least within this directory, I have initialized git. Now I want to show you guys some other git commands. Okay, so one command that I would be using in here is going to be like seeing what is the state of my git repository. Okay, I have my source code. I need to see what is the state of this status of this repository. Right now, I created the index.html file. That's the only thing that I have done. Okay, so the status should say, okay, hey, within the Git repository, you have created this index.html file. That's it. It's not going to show us anything else. So how do I know these things? How do I know the status of these things? I can use it. I can use the git status command. Okay, git and space the status. It will give the things that I have done so far. So on branch main, we'll see what a branch is later on, and no commit sets, we'll see what commits on, and untracked files. Okay, it's showing index.html in red. Okay, that means I have done some changes. Okay, in introducing the index HTML is a new thing that I have done. Okay, initially I did not have this index HTML file. Right now I have created that, and the Git repository identify. Okay, there is a new file and there is a new thing that is going on within this repository. That is the introduction of this index.html file within the source code. So this is basically what the Git status is all about. Okay, so you guys know that this file is all about this command is all about knowing what has been what is the current status of this Git repository. Okay, Git status. And next thing that I'm going to teach you guys is another important command is called a commit. Okay, a commit. So by doing a commit, what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate changes into the Git repository. That means by committing some sort of changes within our application, we say that, okay, I have done this and this within my source code. Okay, a committing is like pushing and not pushing. Committing is like, okay, I have done this change and keep a snapshot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple commit, and I'll show you what you mean. So when you look at few or more commits, you will get the idea behind it. Okay, so the first commit that I'm going to do is I'm gonna commit this index.html file. Okay, I'm gonna be committing this index.html file. But there is another thing that I need to do before I commit. Okay, before I do a commit, I need to make sure within my commit I include the files that I want. Okay, for example, I want to include the index.html file within my commit. But say, for example, I have another file called passwords.txt. Okay, so this file, the file that I have two files in here, the index file and the password.txt file. Okay, so I have two files. If I say git status in here, and it will say, okay, there are two files that I do not have recursion, or I haven't seen. There are like two files that have been changed or added. So what I can do is I can incorporate these changes to a commit. I need to incorporate these file changes to a commit. But before I need to do that, say for instance, that password.txt file is not something that I want to send to a repository. I don't want to send that file to my repository. I don't want it shared anywhere. It is something secret that I do not want to share. Okay, so I need to only share the index.html. I can just say password.txt is nothing for share. Okay, it is not for sharing purposes. Okay, so what I need to do is whatever the code changes, whatever the files that I have done changes, I can edit. Okay, whatever the files that I haven't add, I don't want to push, I can simply omit that. Okay, so within my commit, I need to add the index.html only. I don't need any other files to be added. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply say git add index.html. Okay, so basically what this command says is, hey, git, I'm be adding index.html file. That's it. Okay, I don't add any other files. So I add it, and if I see git status right now, status, if I can, yes, now you can see that the change, the colors and everything is changed. Okay, so changes to be committed. Okay, this file is a new file that is ready to commit. That means I am okay to push this thing. That means I'll sell these things into a commit. Okay, but the password.txt, I haven't thought of pushing it. I know the file is there, but I don't want to add it to my repository, Git repository. So the file that I am interested in committing or interested in sending in here is this index.html. So I can incorporate this in my repository. So incorporate in my commit event. Okay. So I have added this index.html file, and the password.txt file I haven't added. So it is showing up in red. And since I have added the index.html file, it's going to show it in here. So the next thing that I need to do is I can even add more files just for getting things started. I'll just have one file. Okay, I can have so many files. We'll look into those things in a little bit later. Right now, I need to focus on this index.html only. Okay. Now I will conclude my commit saying, okay, I will have only index.html file within my application. I will be having this one. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this file using git commit command. Okay. The first thing that I did was I add this file. Now I'm going to commit this file. Okay. So while I'm committing, the one thing that I need to do is I need to give a commit message. Commit message is something useful for identifying what I have done during these changes. Okay. Right now, within this commit, I have just introduced index.html, and also this is like the first commit. So I can say this is the initial commit, or I can say I have added index.html file. Whatever it makes useful for others to understand what has happened within this commit should be included as a perfect message. Okay, there are like instructions, or there are like things that we should include within the git commit message depending on the organization. So so for example, we will see those things in later on. If it is fixing a bug, we have a special commit message. If we are introducing new things, we have a special commit things. So anyhow, the commit message should be clear for someone else to read and understand. Okay, by commit by using this commit, I get these changes, these things, and these things. Okay, so to simply pass a commit message, we use the -m argument or option, and within quotation, I need to provide the message that I want to give within this commit. Okay, the git commit, I would say initial commit. Okay, that's the message that I want to give. Okay, so I have added the file. Now I am creating a commit, and the commit message is going to be initial commit. Okay, now you guys can see if I say git status, right now there is only the password.txt, that is untracked file, on branch main. Okay, nothing in my commit that I need. I have no commits. I have done this initial commit. That's it. So the commit containing my index.html file, but it's not going to be like gone. If I clear it out and if I hit ls, now you guys can see the index.html is there. Okay, password is there. If I say git status, it's gonna status. It's gonna show that okay, password.txt file is changed, but not within a commit. But we have created a commit, and you guys show that you guys have seen that by executing git commit command and a message to follow. Okay, now we have learned git init. We have created the file. We have added that file, and we have created a commit. The next thing that we need to do is we need to have these changes, the changes that we have done in a repository, on a repository that we can access. Okay, so I'll go through quickly how to create. So in order to create a Git repository, you need to have a central repository, something like that, which is in the internet. Okay, you can use GitHub or something similar. But another thing that you guys should know, that you can have your own Git repositories. Okay, you don't have to rely on GitHub or something like that. You can have your own Git repositories. You can have your own servers that that you can work on. But the main thing is nowadays it's like we don't want the hustle of managing our Git repositories our own. We should be able to utilize something like GitHub or a Bitbucket or something like that. That's always easy. So we will be utilizing that in order to make things happen. So what we will do is we will create a repository in here, and we will attach the code that we have created earlier on to that repository. Okay, that means the changes that we will do is going to be appear on our repository. So make sure you have a GitHub account and you have signed in and everything is done.